Can I ask you something?
Yes.
The kind of garb that you described there, sort of a college type bohemian kind of look.
Yes. Not Bohemian Grove, but
yeah. You're saying is being associated with socially conservative causes in terms of social issues.
Yes,
but they're just subsuming or adding in environmental issues as well as to these others like abortion or things like that, right?
I would think so. Although my guess is it has much more to do than just the environment. I would venture to say that with moving away from the Republican Party, they're looking at all sorts of different things. But that's just my $2 take on it.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. I'll take it out of your paycheck. 1 in 4 Americans consider themselves evangelical Christians, and some 4/5 of evangelical voters backed Republican President George W. Bush as he sought re-election in 2004. McCain is regarded with suspicion in conservative evangelical circles because of his past support for stem cell research, his failure to support a federal ban on gay marriage, and his support for immigration reform, among other things. Both McCain and Obama will be hard-pressed to attract voters like Tanya Grant, a 23-year-old Bible college student from New Jersey, who said she voted for Bush in 2004. It seems like McCain, is playing the evangelical Jesus card, she said. But she's not sold on Obama either, and she doesn't favor his healthcare reform proposals. I'm completely torn, she says. Amy Coffin, 27, of Los Angeles, said she was drawn to Obama because of his healthcare plan and desire to end the war in Iraq. She does not align herself with any political party and is critical of how so many evangelicals support Bush. I think a lot of that is apathy and laziness, letting people tell them how to vote. She is not looking to the election to further social change, but is pushing for change in her own life. A year ago, she moved to India, where she is helping to start a church in New Delhi. Hopefully, by living with the poor, you end up doing something with social justice just naturally. And that's it.
When they mentioned about what are they going to do between their choice of the two candidates, if they're broadening their view of things, how come they're not broadening their range of candidates they'll consider beyond those two?
And we've, of course, had discussions off-air about the dearth of great political third-party candidates with Chuck Baldwin and Bob Barr and, Ron Paul was sort of almost a third-party candidate, even within the Republican Party.
That's where people need to be thinking out of the box, in my opinion. I'm not trying to tell somebody to vote for one person in particular, but what I would just think would be great? If people on the left, right, middle, everywhere could all just sort of agree on a handshake and say, just to teach these guys all a lesson, let's everybody vote third party this year. The third party of your choice.
Third party of your choice. That sounds good to me. I've actually been running that scam here for the last several years.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I would think it would just be something great that all of us citizens could do to show them who's boss. Say, we're going to set you all down in the timeout box for 4 years.
I'm cool with that. I think you may have hit on a very, very good idea.
And just let everybody left, right, others say, we've been made enemies long enough by these guys who have a vested interest in
We have been balkanized, and we're going to change that.
Yeah, and we're going to get somebody in there, maybe somebody obscure enough that hasn't been bought off yet, and could it be worse? That's what I wonder. I can't imagine.
You could get Paul Pot, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember good old Paul Pot.
Yeah. Well, you've got a story for us now.
I got a story for us.
I'm looking forward to this one.
I always read these really gloomy skies falling ones. Government planted military analyst in media. This is from Alternet, which sounds pretty far out, except that they're just taking it from other news wires. It says that 8,000 pages of documents related to the Pentagon's illegal propaganda campaign, known as the Pentagon Military Analyst Program, are now online for the world to see, although in a format that makes it impossible to easily search them and therefore difficult to read and dissect. This trove includes documents pried out of the Pentagon by David Barstow and uses the basis for his stunning investigation that appeared in the New York Times on April 20th of this year. The Pentagon program, which clearly violated U.S. law against covert government propaganda, embedded more than 75 retired military officers, most of them with financial ties to war contractors, into the TV networks as, quote, message surrogates, unquote, for the Bush administration.
So I want to just get this straight. What you're saying is the current administration co-opted a bunch of people to spin their own agenda in the media networks. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, they put in disguised as, quote, unbiased analysts that usually sit on these panels, on the news. And let me just say a preamble before some of you all turn off your radio dials. Yeah, I don't want you to think this is some kind of like super leftist attack on anything that
No.
resolves around one political party. Believe me, they said if you knew my kind of credentials, I supported the war when it happened. I supported it for a long, long time, and I've been a relatively recent person to just ask questions. I'm not trying to say anything other than I'm giving a second look at some of this information. And I would say, whether you are on the left, right, Republican, Democrat, whatever you are, any administration, whichever party they are.
To, if you went to, where did this come from? Alternate?
Yeah.
ALTERNET.
Yeah. They compile, articles from other news wires.
Yeah.
But any political party, whoever they are, that would actually try to manipulate one of the other pillars of our society, our free press, under the guise of trying to manipulate us. Maybe I'm the most naive person here of our whole audience, but because I know that this goes on a lot. But I mean, they had a formally published program specifically to do this. Mm-hmm. And I don't care who the party is in power or what's going on. I'm offended at that.
Me too.
I almost see this as information warfare on our own public. That's what they do in war. They go in to attack another place. They start sending in false information onto the other people to get them confused, to confuse the enemy, to do all these other kind of things. And they're experts at learning how to do that. Mm-hmm. But now it looks like they're turning and doing the same stuff on us. Now, not to say that there haven't always been administration representatives of every administration that go out there and sell their cause. They have think tanks of their favorites.
But they're clearly denominated as such.
Yeah. And this was a formal program underway, specifically not to go sell the position of the administration as the administration, but to disguise it intentionally.
Okay. Let's hear more, man.
Okay. News of the Pentagon's online posting of the documents came from Joe Trento of the National Security News Service, who notes that NSNS provided the New York Times limited information about a military office early in the reporting process. It says here, to date, every major commercial TV network has failed to report this story, covering up their complicity and keeping the existence of this scandal from their audiences.
Really?
The official Pentagon website is www.dod.mil/pubs/FOI/mil-analysts/. And they have 8,000 pages of documents, the most interesting and revealing of them previously secret and only available to the Pentagon and the New York Times. For more than 2 weeks after the New York Times reported on the Pentagon's military analyst program to sell controversial policies such as the invasion of Iraq, the broadcast television news outlets implicated in the program are hoping to tough out the scandal by refusing to report it. Recently, Media Matters of America reported that according to a search of the Nexus database, the three major broadcast networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, still have not mentioned a report at all. The Pew Excellence in Journalism Project has a chart showing that there is virtually no mainstream media follow-up to the Times expose, with only national TV coverage being the introduction segment and live debate on the PBS NewsHour. Congressman Rosa DeLauro and 36 colleagues have sent a letter to the Department of Defense Inspector General calling for an investigation of this propaganda campaign aimed at deliberately misleading the American public. So there you go.
Wow, that's heavy. I'm trying to get all the implications together in my head.
Well, I'm just afraid people react, their first gut reaction, like, I'll hear somebody wailing against the war or whatever like that. That's not the point of this story. The point of this story is that I know they've always manipulated the media in general, excluding you and me, of course, are not the sharpest sticks in the bunch.
Oh, no, I'll wear that moniker.
But, well, but on another tangent, we as Christians ought to be a little more savvy.
We have an additional burden to really...
I don't mean we're elitist or better than anybody, but I mean we've had the opposite effect. I think and I speak for myself, I have swallowed more stuff naively than the average person with just a general common sense.
It's like drinking chlorinated water. You drink chlorinated water for a long time, and then all of a sudden one day you drink some unchlorinated water for a while, and you go, wow, something's different.
You already got me on this thing about watching out for fluoride. Now it's chlorine.
Now it's chlorine.
Is it that entire?
Well, I can taste the difference. It's a weird thing.
Is it the entire column 7 of the periodic table that
I
I've
would
got
say
to avoid
probably
right now?
column 7 and column 8.
Okay, iodine, I've got to avoid that now,
Yes.
and astatine.
All of those things.
Okay. Wow. Well, it's funny because my former life, my career, was to get rid of those exact chemicals in fire extinguishing chemicals because they supposedly attacked ozone molecules.
Really?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is now we're drinking them, or?
We've been drinking them long before then. We need to leave.
Oh boy.
It's already that time. I can't believe it went by that quick.
We rolled way too quick.
Merv, give us a quick word and let us know how our listeners can give us some feedback about the show.
Future Quake radio broadcasts are archived at www.futurequake.com, suitable for downloading or streaming, as well as other show information. Email Dr. Future and Tom Bionic at drfuture@futurequake.com. That's DRFUTURE at futurequake.com. Tell us your name, city, and radio station or internet, and if we can use your name on air. Comments on the show's topics or guests, or suggestions for future show topics or guests are most welcome. Dr. Future and Tom will discuss selected emails each week during the radio broadcast.
We are overdue.
Okay.
Tom, thank you so much for being here today.
And you too. It was good.
Listeners, thank you for being the star of our show. Thank you for making a purse out of a sow's ear of our information we provide you.
Oink, oink.
And we'll expect to see you back next week for the next edition of the Future Quake Show.
Sayonara.
Okay, have a good day. Join us next time as we dare to experience another aftershock of a Future Quake.